Got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. You already know what this video is about. And honestly, where do I even begin talking about the film Night of the Creeps? First thing I gotta say though, I think this movie is pretty much brilliant. I mean, as schlocky sci-fi horror films go from the 80s, this is one of the best. I mean, you can't watch this movie and tell me that it doesn't have literally everything. It's got horror, sci-fi, comedy, suspense, aliens, alien slugs, zombies, zombie dogs and cats, cryogenically frozen humans, and it all happens on a college campus. Not to mention the numerous quotable lines and all the hidden little Easter eggs that reference other horror films and directors. Night of the Creeps might be the poster child for fan service, so I guess I'll start by quickly running down the plot. The film opens up on an alien spacecraft. Apparently, one alien is escaping with some sort of experiment, while two other aliens chase and shoot at him. But before he's captured or killed, he's able to launch the experiment into space. Now, just as a quick side note, the aliens never show up in the movie again, depending on which version of the movie you're watching. Night of the Creeps famously has two endings. The original theatrical ending, which was forced upon the director by the studio, featured a last scare moment where a slug attacks Cynthia. However, the director's cut, which is the more widely available version, restores the director's preferred, more ambiguous ending where the alien spaceship returns, implying a larger threat and leaving the fate of the characters more uncertain. The studio apparently thought the director's original ending, filmed before effects were finished, was too confusing. And honestly, I never thought I'd have to say this, but I actually agree with the studio on this one. The theatrical ending that shows Cynthia being attacked by a slug is actually a better ending in my opinion. But anyway, back to the plot. It's currently 1959, and we're on Sorority Row, and apparently there's an escaped lunatic from a local asylum. And I have to mention, this scene is filmed in black and white, and it plays out like an episode of Leave It to Beaver if there was axe murdering involved. This is where we meet Pam and Johnny, who are out on a date. Pam happens to be the ex-girlfriend of a local young police officer, which becomes very relevant later in the film. They see what they think is a meteor, but it's actually the capsule that the alien launched from the spaceship, and they decide to go investigate.
I will put that one.
Now keep in mind, the radio and the police officer has been warning people about the lunatic on the loose. In that very same area, Johnny decides he's going to keep looking for that meteor. Even though Pam makes him an offer he shouldn't refuse.
Can we go back to the point now? I'll even let you fondle my breasts.
Johnny should have been listening to his horny girlfriend. So instead of fondling some breasts, Johnny decides to investigate the canister, and one of the slugs inside jumps into his mouth. And then we cut to Pam. Pam gets decapitated by the axe murderer. And then we fast forward to 1986. It's Pledge Week on campus, and this is where we meet two of the film's main characters, Chris and JC, who get tricked into pulling a prank to try to join a fraternity because Chris is too scared to talk to his campus crush, Cindy, in person, and he thinks she'll only talk to him if he's part of a fraternity, even though his friend JC is pretty much telling him to stop being a pussy and go talk to her. They're told to steal a cadaver from the university's medical center, and they unknowingly retrieve the frozen body of Johnny, thawing him out and unleashing the alien slugs upon the campus. These parasite slugs enter human hosts through the mouth, turn them into zombies with exploding heads that release more slugs. Now, that was just a short rundown of how the problems began on campus. But now, I just want to get into why I really like this movie. First, I want to speak on director Fred Dekker. Released in 1986, Night of the Creeps was his directorial debut, and a year later, he put out another 80s classic, The Monster Squad. And in addition to directing Night of the Creeps, he also wrote it, apparently in only a week. Fred Dekker was known for his affection for classic horror sci-fi films, which is evident throughout this movie. Dekker intended for Night of the Creeps to be an homage to classic sci-fi and horror B-movies of the 50s, particularly those featuring alien invasions and later films that featured zombie outbreaks. This influence is evident in the film's title card, the opening sequence, and its overall tone. Night of the Creeps is full of Easter eggs. Just look at many of the main characters' last names. Like Chris, his last name is Romero, as in George Romero. His friend J.C. Hooper, well, his name is a combination of John Carpenter and Toby Hooper. Cynthia's last name is Cronenberg, and the list just goes on. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the university at the center of the film is called Corman University, after B-movie legend Roger Corman. Now, before I speak on the great characters in this movie, I want to briefly talk about the story. In particular, why the story works for me. You see, I like my sci-fi and horror stories done in one of two ways. Either don't give me any information, a la Romero zombie movies, or hell, even a movie as great as The Predator. You know, the movie doesn't tell you that the Predator is going on a hunting mission, doesn't really tell you anything about their culture, any of that. You only figure it out through context. You're given just enough information to keep you guessing. However, that only works if the movie is actually good. And then you have a film like Night of the Creeps that literally explains everything you need to know in the first 10 minutes of the film. And just like those black and white sci-fi films from the 50s, you can just turn your brain off and enjoy the movie for what it is. And of course, it doesn't hurt if the movie is well written, acted, and directed. Now I need to speak on our cast of characters, starting with the film's biggest star, Tom Atkins. I've already done an entire video about Tom Atkins and why I think he's pretty awesome, so I'm not going to spend too much time here on the man. But he plays Detective Cameron in Night of the Creeps, and he's just one of the coolest movie detectives you're going to see in the 80s.
Thrill me. What is this, a homicide or a bad B movie? Thrill me. It's Miller time.
Early in the video, I was talking about Pam and Johnny, and how Pam's ex-boyfriend was a police officer, the same one that tried to warn them about the escaped maniac. Well, that was Officer Cameron, who would later become Detective Cameron. He was the one that discovered Pam's mutilated corpse, and he'd later go out on his own to find the maniac and kill him with a shotgun blast to the chest, or so he thought. Detective Cameron's had PTSD ever since that night, and he still has nightmares about it, although he does get the opportunity to work through his trauma. Detective Cameron ends up sacrificing himself to try to save the students and the town, but it ends up being for nothing, as the slugs explode from his burned head and seemingly escape. Next in our list of characters is Chris, played by Jason Lively, who will always be known to me as Rusty Griswold #2 from European Vacation. I watched the shit out of that movie back in the day. Chris is your typical 80s non-jock lead character. He's kind of a nerd with a huge crush on the pretty girl on campus. Jason Lively plays his part well, and he's really believable as the awkward, kinda nerdy college kid. And then there's Chris's best friend and roommate, JC, played by Steve Marshall. And next to Tom Atkins' Detective Cameron, JC is easily my favorite character in the movie. And you honestly can't talk about JC in this film without mentioning the fact that he's disabled, which thankfully and smartly is barely even mentioned in the movie. The fact that he's walking around on crutches has almost no bearing to the movie at all. And I feel like it was really forward thinking of Fred Dekker to put this character in the movie. He was even asked about it once in an interview, and he said you can make a movie with a character who's handicapped without the movie being about the fact that he's handicapped. So props to Fred Dekker for that one. But aside from that, JC's just a great character in general. One of those guys you really hate to see die in a movie. He has some of the best lines and basically all of the funniest scenes in the movie. He even leaves a recording for Chris once he realizes that the slugs have taken over his brain, and it's one of the few times in the film where he's actually being serious.
There's one inside me. Got in through my mouth. I can feel it.
As horror film sidekicks go, JC's easily one of the best, and seriously one of the highlights of this film. Part of me wishes that JC and Chris's roles were reversed. I honestly think that would have been an even better movie. The rest of the film's characters are kind of just there, but it doesn't really matter. They all serve their purpose, and no one in the movie is really bad. There aren't even any annoying characters in the movie, which is strange. If you're watching this, I really encourage you to check out Night of the Creeps. It's truly worth your time. It's one of those movies that's truly aware of what it is and what it's trying to be. As I'm recording this, it's not available for free on streaming, but make sure you try to find a way to watch it. So once again, thanks for watching. I'm Steve. If you liked the video, hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you've seen Night of the Creeps, if you love it, if you hate it, or if you've never even heard of it. Thanks again, and I'll be back soon.
Detective, thrill me.